The following is brought to you by Bleacher Report. If you guys want to check out my live post-game reaction show, make sure to have the Bleacher Report app downloaded and ready to fire up right after the game. You'll find me in the Chargers section. Bolt up.
Kia ora, Bolt fam. It's the director. Honestly, not quite sure how this stream is going to go, how this show is going to go, because there's a lot of mixed feelings for me as a Chargers fan coming out of that brutal playoff loss to the Texans. Final score, Chargers 12, Houston Texans 32. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to reflect on in terms of how this team improves, where this team can go from here. But also, we have to recognize the accolades that were accomplished this season in terms of improvement. The Chargers, who were a horrible 5-win team last season, flipped the narrative, turned themselves into a double-digit winning team at a tune of 11-6, a playoff caliber team, the 5th seed in the AFC. A lot of things have improved for the Chargers, but Chargers fans are left wondering, have they changed enough where it really counts? Not just getting to the postseason, but thriving in the postseason. And I think there's a bunch there to unpack in terms of where the team really is, what the result of that 11-win season really came from, and what the quarterback situation really is for the Chargers going into the future. But also a reflection of how much this team can improve over one season and how much improvement we're going to see over the course of the 2025 off-season. Guys, thank you for joining me. Again, I'm the director. I have a YouTube channel for the Chargers, in and around 50,000 subscribers. And I got to tell you, I've been around a while, even on YouTube. I think I started this journey around the 2020 season, right? When we were all forced indoors, not much to do. I decided to go all in on a Chargers channel, actually after getting laid off at that time, and it turned into an awesome opportunity provided to me by Chargers fans. And here we are today, so many years later, talking about the Chargers in their first Jim Harbaugh season, falling short in a playoff game. And I say that because I've been around a long time, even before YouTube, but even on YouTube, I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen this team in all different situations, the good, the bad. Sometimes you got to ask, are they real? Are they fake? Are they wearing a mask? Are they showing us their true selves? And there's a lot that I can say is different about this season, despite how the postseason has ended for the Bolts. And I say that because the Chargers have been to the postseason not too long ago under the Brandon Staley era. And there was a lot that was very unsure about the Chargers back then, and for a long time. I don't think the Chargers, at least to me as a Chargers fan, have really had a concrete identity as a team since probably Marty Ball, since back in the LaDainian Tomlinson days. I think the Chargers have tried and failed very many which ways to establish an identity. I think for a little while you saw the air raid offense of Phillip Rivers and company, and we were kind of this, gunslinging, team with a bad defense for a long time, and that would switch every now and then. But for the first time as a Chargers fan, I feel like even in the loss today, and even with the disappointment of how badly we lost today, we can walk away still feeling like I know what this team is. I know what they're going to be next season. I know what they're building up towards. And that's something I got to tell you I'm not very used to as a Chargers fan. Again, most seasons I'm left lost, like, okay, maybe we can add this. We could be a big weapon team. We have needs on defense. It felt like a while we're going to be that pass rushing team. Now I know what we're going to be. We're going to be a very tough football team. We're going to try and be a running football team. We're going to try and be an old school football team. We're going to try and be a Jim Harbaugh football team, because for a large part of the season, they accomplished it. They really did. And that's despite a lack of resources at the top of the year. Now, I'm not trying to evade what just happened. We're going to get into that in just a second, because you got to get better. You got to learn from your mistakes. Justin Herbert needs to own this game. He takes a lot of fault in this loss. We have conversations to have about OC. We have conversations we need to have about roster construction, coaching in some capacity. But for the most part, this team, it's an upward trajectory. This team is climbing a ladder. And I feel like a lot of us were hoping that we were near the top, that we were about to start seeing that ledge to get to the top. And we realized that we're not quite there yet. But we also have to acknowledge that we have taken steps up. We have taken steps up, and we have gotten better, and we are reaching higher. And we have more, steps to take, and we have more time to make that happen. But we're not quite there yet. But like I was saying, think about the resources. This is a big topic of today's discussion is resources. Chargers, to start the Jim Harbaugh era, were, lack for a better term, resource starved. You guys remember at the top of the show or the top of the season, I should say, that the Chargers were in a bit of a money problem. Keenan Allen, contract too big. Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, all these guys. Certainly not helping the money situation. Draft pick capital, about average. Nothing crazy in terms of resources. And the Chargers had to do a bit of maneuvering. We had to get rid of Keenan and some big contracts and kind of, force the reshaping of the team into the Jim Harbaugh era. It was the first season that the Chargers had started making moves in that direction. And they didn't have a whole lot to accomplish it. Despite that, the team turned around a 5-win season into an 11-win season and a playoff berth. Very impressive. We're walking away with one of the most impressive rookie classes I have ever seen for a Chargers draft. Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey. You still have the potential of a Junior Colson, who I'm very high on in the seasons to come. Of course, you got the duo and cornerbacks that have been amazing in Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still. Incredible draft. Chargers free agency, incredible. We took a lot of struggling vets and turned back the clock. Tony Jefferson, who had an amazing day today. Chargers defense, despite the score, was on fire the first half of the game, first 3 quarters of the game. Turned back the clock on him. He was amazing. Struggling stars like Christian Fulton. Tierra Tart. You know what I mean? Will Dissly, who got more involved. A lot of Chargers free agents, if they were struggling or if they were older, they were able to turn back the clock or find a way to be relevant again. And that's going to draw a lot of interest from free agents in this free agent period, guys. This offseason, you're going to see a lot of players that are looking for new homes or new opportunities. They're going to be looking at the Chargers quite a bit because of how much they helped improve the seasons for a lot of different struggling players in 2024. Now, of course, it didn't end great for guys like Will Dissly. Man, he had a struggle of a day today, but he's not playing the role he was brought in for. Let's be honest. He was supposed to be tight end 2, the blocking tight end. The receiving guy was supposed to be Hayden Hurst. That did not work out great. Hayden Hurst, of course, we're not going to be, perfect on every free agent signing. There were some that didn't work out as well, like Hayden Hurst. But hey, I think we were right more than we were wrong in terms of free agency. And the Chargers, again, they made strides. Now I want you guys to think about the upcoming season in 2025. Okay? I know a lot of people are going to be pissed. A lot of people need that time to be upset. I get it. I respect it. If you guys need to be mad, go be mad. I'll meet you on the other side. We're going to have some seriously fun stuff to talk about the Chargers in the upcoming offseason. But take your time if you need to. If you need to be upset, if you need to throw shade at me or the Chargers, whatever helps get you through the gut-wrenching loss, do it. And I will be at the other side to help you pick yourself back up and find some joy in the offseason, which is going to be awesome. Because like I said a few moments ago, the Chargers resources were really, really bad at the top of the year, and they were able to turn it around and find at least a dozen really exceptional players to help start this rebuild in the Jim Harbaugh era. Now think about what they're going to be able to accomplish in 2025. Let me remind you guys the resources that Jim Harbaugh, Joe Ortiz and company are working with in the upcoming season. The Chargers, who were very much so strapped for cash at the top of the season last year, are going to be projected over $100 million in cap space in 2025. That's insane. With a contract like Justin Herbert on the books, to think that you'll have that much money is absurd. The Chargers, I promise you, are going to put that to work right away. You're going to see interior offensive line help. You may see a veteran wide receiver. T. Higgins, very realistic target for the Chargers in 2025. And a whole lot of good on defense you can do with that money as well. That's a lot of money, Bolt fam. That's a lot of money that the Chargers have to utilize in 2025. And they will. They're not going to sit on it. They will be using that money. On top of that, the Chargers projected, and don't quote me, I think 11 draft picks now that we have entered the Joe Ortiz era. So the Jim Harbaugh era brings with it a lot of coaching improvements, of staff improvements. Of course, he brought a lot of staff in from Michigan. A lot of player improvements. Of course, you see a lot of players turning back the clock, becoming relevant again. But the Joe Ortiz effect has already begun in terms of the draft class was amazing. He drafted as well as I've ever seen the Chargers draft before. But also, he has started what's called the compensatory pick formula for the team. And it's something that the Baltimore Ravens have been utilizing for a long time. In short, the Chargers are going to be generating extra picks every single season. And because of that, the Chargers are going to start this season with some extra picks to utilize the tail end of the draft. And again, estimated around 11 picks this year. You can see that utilized in trade. You can see that utilized in the draft. I think that the Chargers, with the way that they're drafting, with the advantage that they have with Jim Harbaugh, having, firsthand insight, having just coached in the college football arena, I think that that's going to be put to use very, very well for the next couple of seasons. And again, think about what Joe Ortiz did in the last draft and how many starters came out of that last draft. At least 5, right? 4 or 5. Imagine how much we're going to see in this upcoming draft, which, mind you, isn't as impressive of a draft class, but we do have more drafts or picks to utilize. Now, this team needs some improvement. This game painted a pretty clear picture as to where we are, where we need to improve, and some discussions are going to be opened up in the next couple of weeks as to where we go from here. The first one probably being the Justin Herbert discussion. This was maybe the worst Justin Herbert game I've seen in a long time. And unfortunately, it follows a trend that I've been talking about a lot leading up to this game. Justin Herbert, he operates, in my opinion, in streaks, right? We saw for the last 3-4 weeks a Justin Herbert hot streak in which he was just on fire. The offense was clicking. You're seeing 25, 30, 40 points a game. It was awesome. But then Herbert, he'll hit a wall every once in a while, and it feels like he hit one this week. But it also could be because of the stage. We were in the postseason. Is it too big, too bright for number 10? That could also be the case. And that discussion needs to happen at some point. What do we do about Justin Herbert? Now, for those of you overreacting, saying, no, never. Justin Herbert, he's our guy. We would never trade him. We would never move on from him. I agree with you. I'm not looking to get rid of Justin Herbert anytime soon. Absolutely not. He is our quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We would be insane to move on from Justin Herbert. Instead, what I'm trying to insinuate, how do the Chargers build a team around Justin Herbert that makes him more comfortable in environments like what we saw today? Herbert was not ready. Herbert helped to lose that football game. The 3 or 4 interceptions, he matched his season total, if not exceeded his season total in one game. The bad reads, the lack of improvisation. There's a lot of bad that came out of number 10 this week. It's not all on number 10, though. And there's stuff, thinking as Chargers fans, and I'm sure the coaching staff is thinking this as well. What can we do to better Justin Herbert's comfort and odds at succeeding in these tough environments like the postseason? And the answer for me, at least, number 1, you're going to have to get him another weapon, dude. Ladd McConkey is as studly of a wide receiver as I've ever seen in football. Not just for a rookie, but in football. He would end the day with almost 200 yards and a touchdown off of 14 targets and 9 receptions. Unbelievable effort by Ladd McConkey. You know who was after him? Who was second in receptions? Will Dissly with 2 receptions and 16 yards. After him was Tucker Fisk. Everybody else, actually. 1 reception for Fisk, Chark, and Davis. 15 yards, 10 yards, and 4 yards. How wild is that? That Ladd McConkey makes up 200 yards of Justin Herbert's total 242 yards. That ain't right. And that is going to give Justin Herbert a pretty difficult situation to navigate. He's only got one guy he can throw to. That does not help your chances at winning football games. You need to prioritize wide receiver in the offseason if Justin Herbert is going to be made comfortable enough to perform in postseason matchups and games like today. You cannot ask him to rely on just one target. That's going to end in disaster every single time. And likely, contributed to a very bad football game that we saw today. Could have helped, to have Josh Palmer or whatever in there, but no. The Chargers, who have, once again, I'm reminding you, and this is why I opened with this, $100 million in cap, need to get another wide receiver on this roster as reliable as Ladd McConkey. You have the money for T. Higgins. Go get him. There's a long list of free agent wide receivers that you could go after. Me personally, you're asking me, Director, what would you do? I think Ladd is the number 1 wide receiver of this team, and I'm going to let him keep that role. I want him to be wide receiver 1. Let's go get a wide receiver 2, a good one. Let Ladd be 1. Maybe, heck, you get a 1A, 1B, whatever the situation may be. Go get him help at wide receiver. But the number 1 thing I want the Chargers to maybe spend money on in terms of another weapon is probably tight end for me, because that fits what you're trying to do as an offense. You want to run more. You want to be successful in running more. Go get a really big difference-making tight end. Oh, there's none available. Go trade for one. I don't care. Draft one. There's Tyler Warren. There's Colston Loveland. There's some big guys coming up in the draft in terms of tight end. Not a bad tight end draft. Go get one. Get Justin Herbert some help in terms of weapons. And he will show you that he's ready. He's up for it. He's the quarterback that you want in the postseason. He needs help. So yes, Justin Herbert deserves a large portion of the blame this week. He choked. He did not perform. He lost us this football game. But the Chargers can also do better at providing him opportunities to succeed in these situations. Get him some help. Criticize Herbert. Let him learn from this. But we have to get him some weapons. On top of that, what's something I'm absolutely jacked about in this upcoming draft. This upcoming draft isn't great, right? The quarterback class sucks. Offensive line class is meh, right? Defense has some studs, but it's not the best class. They have a couple of positions that are pretty awesome. Probably the biggest, yes, I'm going to say absolutely the biggest position that you can highlight from the 2025 rookie class is going to be running back. This team wants to be a running football team. And I love J.K. Dobbins. I think he's been amazing this season. And I think that he saved us from being, let's be honest, largely mediocre most of the season. When he was gone, this offense really didn't have much going for it. When he came back, we started moving again. Same thing can be said at the top of the season. When he was there, we were moving pretty good. J.K. Dobbins deserves all the accolades in the world. Gus Edwards did fine, right? But you go out there and you get guys like Gentry, you get guys like Hampton, you get guys like Henderson, you get one of the very many, even Ollie Gordon. You get one of these studly running backs out of this class. That is a franchise running back. That is the kind of talent that can overcome lack of blocking, lack of play calling, lack of success in the passing game or defense or whatever. There's what I'm calling right now the Saquon Barkley effect, where, yeah, he's killing it with the Eagles. He's absurd, best running back in football. But even back when he was the Giants, he saw a lot of success. He built his name in New York. And that's despite New York being like the very worst offensive line team I have ever seen. He had no space, nothing going for him there. No quarterback, no defense, nothing. Despite that, one of the best players in football. That's the kind of difference makers you're seeing coming into this draft class of running back, and there are a lot of them. The Chargers, they have built a team that wants to run the football. As much as I love J.K. Dobbins, these rookies are the future. You draft one or two of those guys, you're in business. There's some free agents that you can maybe take a shot on to mix in or whatever, and not mix in, but mix in. Help the rookies get acclimated. You could bring J.K. back. I'd be all about that for a season. But there's talk about Najee Harris and stuff like that. It really fits the system. But the running backs coming into this class, that's the future. Now, as I'm seeing in the chat, we need guard, we need center, all that kind of stuff. I agree. Not super stoked on this interior offensive line draft. You're going to see a few rise to the top for me that I'm saying, hey, go get him. Go get that guy. But for the most part, the Chargers, I want to see a good chunk of that money put towards interior offensive line. Because, again, we have ridiculous resources in the draft. We have even more ridiculous resources in free agency. Take a large chunk of that money, get me a center, get me a guard or two. You can afford it. Do it. Do it. You pair him up with a Henderson, with a Hampton. If we get extremely lucky, like an Ashton Genty, who's stopping us? When we become a football team that can run the football even half as good as when we had LT, who's stopping you? The Chargers want to be a play action passing team. How much better is that going to work when you have a very functional and dangerous running game? Director, we miss Corey Linsley bad. Yeah. Imagine we get a guy even close to his caliber. You can do it. That's the thing. And again, even if the opportunity isn't there via free agency or whatever, you have capital and money to go trade for a guy who is in a team that's not winning anytime soon. Maybe there's money problems, maybe whatever. You can go trade for a guy. You have the resources. Make it happen. Biggest needs for this team going into the offseason, for me, receiver. Be it tight end, wide receiver, whatever. Give Justin Herbert some weapons. Interior offensive line. Do it. And get an identity running back. I love JK and these guys. These are great guys to have right now. But I want a guy of the future. And this running back class, guys, you cannot miss with this class. There is so much talent. It's spilling out the top at running back. Go get a difference maker at running back. This class will definitely produce a large number of running back ones for basically whoever wants to draft one this season. Excited. Very excited about that. Very excited about that. But a lot to learn from this game. So to kind of put a cap on it, guys, all I can say, Chargers fans, especially with how it ended, the results in terms of the score and how this game was played and all this, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it ended the way it did. I'm sorry that all of us are very down about it. I'm sorry that it hurts as much as it does. But we all need to suck it up a little bit. And we need to not be so ungrateful as fans. I love you guys. Process it the way you need to process it. But at the end of the day, remember these words. We are lucky to have Jim Harbaugh. We went from a 5-win team to an 11-win team with a playoff berth in the 5th seed. The future is very, very bright. Let's lick our wounds and be grateful that we even had a chance to go to the postseason this year. Everybody wrote us off. And Jim Harbaugh, he defied very many odds to make us a successful franchise once again. And the only way now is up. We've proven how much we can change over one season. Let's see what 2 or 3 seasons look like behind Jim Harbaugh. Is it unrealistic to think that they could make the big game with that much time? I don't think so. I think they definitely have the chops. And I think me as a Chargers fan, and I said this at the top of my stream, even before the game kicked off, no matter what happens today, I'm grateful to be here. I'm excited for the Chargers. I'm excited for the next season. I'm excited for what they decide to do with Jim Harbaugh and his plan as we move forward. I'm a very grateful Chargers fan today, despite the loss, despite the embarrassment, the pain. I'm still very, very grateful to be a Chargers fan because I know just how much brighter the future is going to be going forward. Well, guys, I see a lot of comments in this week, man. I get it. It's a big game. Chargers dropped the ball. Lots to digest, lots to feel, lots to reflect on. But I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. I hope you enjoyed the growth. I hope you enjoyed the fun of a Harbaugh-led team I hope the fans ate up every moment that was the inaugural Jim Harbaugh season, because it's only going to get faster and crazier from here, man. Everyone, I've got friends in very many different corners of football, and Michigan fans and even Ravens fans, Niners fans, they all tell me the same thing. He's going to look great his first year, but man, does a notch get turned up to 11 in the following seasons, and hold on to your butts, man. I think we're heading that direction. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for an awesome season of Chargers football. It hurts me so that it's ending today. It hurts me so that this is the last post-game report and reaction that I get to do for quite some time. But it has been an awesome year. It's been so much fun following this team. It's been so much fun following Jim Harbaugh and this whole adventure. I'm very honored and blessed to be in a position where I get to share my excitement with you guys. And for those of you who need some time to process this and to feel the pain and to be upset and punch a wall, I'll be waiting for you on the other side when you're ready to get jacked about the offseason, because it's going to be a good one. Maybe the best in Chargers history. It could end up being that way with the resources we have and the success rate we started with last year. Well, guys, big love to my Chargers fans. I will see you guys. I think it starts Wednesday. I'll have to check with the producers here on Bleacher Report. But I will be here every week on Bleacher Report throughout the offseason to help keep you guys connected to the team, what's going on behind the scenes, and mainly, and this is what gets me giddy, man. Well, it's something, the good old-fashioned fun I like to call football theory. How is this team going to attack the offseason? Who are we drafting? Who are we signing? Where's the money going? It's going to be a good time. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here on Bleacher Report, hit me up with a follow. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Keep your head up, Bolt fam. It will only get better from here. I guarantee it.